How many different pizzas can you make with these 3 toppings?
It's Maths Week at the Federation of Jubilee and Gainsborough Primary Schools in the London Borough of Hackney. Like many schools, maths improvement is high on the development agenda. But Jubilee and Gainsborough have taken the extra step of linking it directly with their teachers' CPD. It's a new approach to professional development that CPD leader Rachel Spruce is delivering in partnership with the University of East London.
I think the role of being CPD leader has become rightly more complicated in the last few years. I think it used to be understood more as organising and booking external training and courses for members of staff. I think it now incorporates a huge amount of different aspects of the work that staff do within school, so supporting them and really empowering them to improve their practice of teaching and learning in classrooms.
Today's staff meeting at Jubilee is on problem solving. It's being led jointly by the maths coordinators from both schools, and everyone is encouraged to contribute.
What were some of your ideas about why children find this difficult?
There are some easily identifiable elements of good CPD, and that would include that teachers have ownership over their CPD and they're included in the planning and the selecting of the experiences that they have, that it's collaborative and that there are group and team contexts in which people can work and learn and support each other, and that it's stimulating and maybe provocative in a way that will fire people up and get them excited and interested and enthused in what they're doing.
So working cooperatively or independently?
I'm going to put collaboratively.
Oh, okay. Well,
Okay.
The reason I put that in the middle is just because I think it's meant to be like the ultimate thing where we're teaching a life skill.
Yeah.
Right, and a lot of maths seem to not be relevant.
A key feature of the new approach is the way that each term's CPD is built around a specific theme. Last term it was writing, this term it's maths, and next term it will be parental engagement.
We modularised the school development plan, and so it's very relevant and meaningful to people's work. Everybody's doing the same thing at the same time, so having a whole school focus on something also has a strength, and that itself supports the collaborative aspect of the enterprise.
I think the advantages of that really are that staff are able to make the connections. It means that each week people are thinking about their previous learning, their subsequent learning, how it's looked in the classroom since we last spoke about it.
Having a new approach to CPD has quite enlivened some of the staff meetings and the practice at Jubilee. Actually, there's quite a lot of lively discussion and quite a high level of discussion. It's not just, we're not bogged down in the daily life at school. If you're saying how many ways are there can you find, if you give them a framework with 9 boxes, they're all immediately looking for 9 things. And actually it's quite good for them, I think, to think, well, is there any more? How can we check and go back?
Another important aspect of the collaboration with UEL is that all teachers are receiving inset at master's level.
The research and the inquiry process are not only very important to the discipline of education and to generating knowledge in that area, but it's a very important process through which teachers can develop. By having the focus at master's level, it brings a rigorous level of inquiry and scholarship into that process.
But I think it goes back to last week's staff meeting as well, because you can make anything a problem and help them solve it.
Being involved in the master's level CPD alongside teaching means that you're not looking at it separately from classroom practice, that it's quite involved in your everyday work. And I think what UEL has done really well is presenting it to us in small sections, so you're able to take in one thing at a time and try it out in the classroom and then go back to a staff meeting and discuss with colleagues how it's worked, and then move on from there and try out the next step.
Though some people decided that submitting for a master's wasn't for them, everybody's enrolled on the course, which I think has made a real difference to the way that we operate as a school. It's really raised the profile of academic research and reading. Each staff meeting, people are leaving with new ideas about just short things that they might read to develop and benefit their practice.
I've got Harry with me today, and Harry has got a few problems that need solving. Hopefully, with a little bit of help from you lot, Harry's going to solve his problems today.
At Gainsborough, Rachel and Helen are discussing the plan for the next module on parental engagement with Head of School Claire Pike.
What this does do, it makes connections for people. So, as you said, it makes connections between the whole school, what you do in the year group, what you do as an individual, what you do in the MA study group if you're going for credit, and other things. And that other, again, is going to be more important in this module because the other is going to be the sort of parent-teacher relationship. Predominantly, the UEL tutor is responsible for the mastersness of the process. So that's simply because we have the knowledge and of understanding of that as a qualification. So the UEL tutor's role will be multifaceted, but the one responsibility they have that the school often at this point in the partnership doesn't share is to make sure that what is being planned and particularly what is being assessed will enable people to demonstrate achievement at master's level.
Engaging our parents in school life is really crucial to everything that we're doing in school, but it's also one of our biggest challenges, particularly at Gainsborough. The relationship between UEL and the schools I really see as a 50-50 partnership, and I think that's important because we're each bringing different things to those planning meetings. They're particularly ensuring that what we're delivering will be at master's level. We're particularly ensuring that it relates to the school's priorities in terms of its development. And I don't think we've been afraid to kind of point out to one another where those two don't fit as well as they ought to. And so far that's been really successful in sort of continually raising the game.
How many ways have you found so far of making a pizza with those toppings? Who's there? How many ways is there? 6 ways, fantastic.
Michelle isn't submitting for the MA, but the master's level approach has inspired her and other teachers at Jubilee to meet in their own time to reflect on their practice. Following a process called the Collaborative Assessment Protocol, they unpick one child's piece of work. In this case, the outcome of a lesson on problem solving using pizza toppings.
We can talk about what do you see, trying to not make any judgments, but just literally observing what it is that you see and notice.
I can see shapes of different sizes. I can see repeated patterns of shapes, so using the same symbols.
I can see what could be mathematical vocabulary.
I really like the protocol structure because it starts by just looking at what you've got in front of you. And as a teacher myself, I find that lots of things spring out at you that you might not see if you're busy thinking about the context straight away.
Well, we're sort of moving on to the next area, which is what do you think the child is working on?
I think they are exploring the problem, if you look at what they knew they were learning to.
It's not something that's dropped off the agenda yet, which I find interesting because it's so easy to not have time for that kind of high-level discussion about children's work. And for the time being, we continue to find it beneficial enough to find reasons and to find a kind of group of people working in different areas of the school to work on that.
It didn't even occur to me that they would think about how to arrange the ingredients on the pizza rather than actually combining different groups. I was amazed really at how that discussion, which took half an hour, immediately led into the next lesson I taught really powerfully. I felt like some of the questions that were coming into my mind, I didn't have to spend hours planning them and finding them in a framework. I just was using a discussion with other teachers, which I knew or felt was really valuable.
It says how many different pieces can you make with the 3 toppings? And you could successful argue, I think, that a pizza with the cheese on one side and mushroom in the middle is a different pizza, because you might, in terms of how the flavours would mix.
In terms of comparing that sort of CPD with going out on external courses, people really feel that the protocol enables them to do something that they feel is worthwhile for themselves and for their classes.
Paul Robinson is one of 5 teachers at Gainsborough who have decided to submit for the MA. The group takes part in weekly study sessions with Helen, where they discuss relevant articles and relate them to their own experiences.
How do you deal with the fact that there are a range of ways of solving the same problem? How would you talk about that with the class, or what did the reading suggest about how you might deal with that? We not only want to enable everybody to achieve at master's level, we also have a duty to support their study at that level. So the study groups are very much about making the assessment criteria more explicit, and the study groups are also focused on developing skills of critical reading and writing and thinking.
They're building up those methods, and some children will be able to look at the picture method and think, oh yeah, that's what I meant to do, but I added it rather than multiplied it all.
Yeah. And equally, those children who have got it right will see that actually their method is not that efficient and that there is a more sophisticated way of doing it. One of the biggest benefits is a collaboration just among practitioners. It's really useful to just discuss issues and talk through issues together in a sort of environment that you just wouldn't get usually. This would never have come about without the model of the Masters CPD and giving us that impetus to discuss and to run through things. Of course, we all talk to each other anyway, but it's giving you an actual structure and a model. Can I represent a problem using numbers, images, or diagrams? Now, what on earth does that mean?
Linking the MA credit to the CPD themes makes it more practical and meaningful for the classroom context.
You do feel like, actually, if I can just get this little aspect right in my classroom, then I'm sort of improving the school. If we all do our little bit in improving our literacy and our numeracy teaching, then actually as a whole school, we're going to grow together.
Just cheese and just ham.
Let's record it then. How are you going to record that answer? Because I don't want you forgetting for when Harry comes to find out what sandwiches we made. As a practitioner, I feel that I've grown this year through doing the MA, and that actually it's made me more constructive, more reflective in my practice, but hopefully the proof will be in the pudding at the end of the year with the children's results and the way they've moved forward. I certainly feel that it's made me a better teacher.
I think the key to successful CPD is really the joined up thinking. So ensuring that for each individual they have an awareness of the whole school development that they are contributing towards. Their own performance management targets, of course, need to be linked to their professional development and the areas that they want to work towards, as well as seeing how these areas are going to fit into the whole school picture.
What's this one got in it? So that's got all three, hasn't it? So is it the same or different? Different. I've only been teaching for 2 years and it's already, I feel that I've made leaps from last year in this school because the training continues constantly.
What am I doing, Jessie?
If you think of yourself as somebody whose job is about inquiring into your practice in order to develop it, and through that you become more effective, more efficient and happier in your practice, so it's kind of self-perpetuating in a way, then there isn't really an issue. That's who I am and how I am as a teacher, and the success comes through looking at CPD as being integral to part of the teacher's role, professional identity and practice.